Noir Plasma Chrome Bleed. Unlocking knowledge, inspiring innovation, empowering curious minds.
This website makes learning so easy. I found all my resources here.
Like what you share.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter everything you thought you knew about the sacred lotus. Because, trust me, this simple pond flower, it's actually an evolutionary marvel, a space-traveling mutant, and a cancer-fighting pharmacy, all rolled into one. You're about to look at this plant in a totally different way. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Evolutionary reclassification. 2. Biophysics and extreme survival. 3. Agronomy and space mutagenesis. 4. Phytochemistry and medical potential. And finally, 5. Biomimetics, textiles, and traditions. Let's get right to it. Section 1. Evolutionary reclassification, more than meets the eye. For centuries, the lotus totally deceived us. Under the older Cronquist system, scientists looked at its floating leaves and confidently grouped it with water lilies. I mean, it makes sense, right? But then, modern scientists mapped its DNA, specifically the genes in its chloroplasts, and the evidence proved it belongs to a completely different genetic order called Protealis, meaning this aquatic plant is actually a genetic cousin to the terrestrial plane tree and the protea bush. Crazy, right? So what we're looking at here is the ultimate biological disguise. It's a textbook perfect example of convergence evolution. It proves that a muddy aquatic environment will literally force wildly different genetic lineages to develop the exact same survival traits over millions of years. It looks like a water lily because it had to, not because it actually is one. Section 2. Biophysics and extreme survival. The superpowers. Take a look at this number, 150 degrees. That is the contact angle of water on a lotus leaf. We literally call this phenomenon the lotus effect. See, if you look at the leaf under a microscope, it isn't smooth at all. It actually has this complex hierarchical architecture made of tiny epidermal papilla covered in hydrophobic wax crystallites measuring just 100 nanometers. Because of this microterrain, water just can't wet the surface. It hits that 150-degree angle, beads up into a perfect little sphere, and rolls right off, picking up dirt and fungal spores along the way. The plant is completely self-cleaning. And here's another mind-bending number for you. 35 degrees Celsius. Even when the air outside is freezing cold, the lotus flower essentially runs a fever. During its 3-day flowering period, it uses alternative oxidase pathways inside its floral mitochondria to generate its own metabolic heat. It actually maintains an internal temperature up to 35 degrees Celsius. Why? Well, it creates this warm, aromatic little microenvironment that attracts and literally warms up insect pollinators on chilly mornings. Talk about rolling out the red carpet. And because of these incredible defenses, this plant is virtually immortal. 1,300 years. Radiocarbon dating confirmed that lotus seeds, which were recovered from a dry lake bed in Plantian, China, successfully germinated after lying completely dormant in the mud for over 1,300 years. It has this incredibly thick, lignified seed coat that creates a deep physical dormancy. It represents one of the longest documented seed longevities in all of angiosperm biology. Just wow. Section 3. Agronomy and space mutagenesis, to orbit and back. Now, for thousands of years, we've cultivated this plant for some very specific uses, breeding 3 main functional groups. You've got rhizome lotus for massive starch accumulation underground, seed lotus for maximum carpal density, to eat the seeds, and flower lotus for those beautiful, compact ornamentals. Farmers even use these brilliant rotations, like aquaculture, polyculture, growing the lotus right alongside fish and crabs. The animal waste fertilizes the crop while the plant filters the water. It's a win-win. But eventually, traditional breeders kind of hit a yield plateau. They just couldn't squeeze any more out of the plant naturally, which led them to try something, well, completely out of this world. I absolutely love this next part because it proves a pond plant is a better astronaut than most of us. Back in 1994, Chinese researchers literally launched 442 dry lotus seeds into low Earth orbit, aboard a satellite for 14 days. Out there, the seeds were bombarded by high-energy cosmic radiation, microgravity, and the raw vacuum of space, which actually induced structural chromosomal mutations. When they brought those seeds back down and bred them, they created Taikong 36, or Space Lotus 36. This elite space-mutated cultivar absolutely shattered previous yield limits, and today it completely dominates over 80% of the Chinese white lotus industry. No way, right?
Section 4. Phytochemistry and medical potential, the molecular matrix.
So let's look at the chemistry. These 4 heavy-hitting compounds found in the leaves and seed embryos basically map out a comprehensive attack plan against human disease. We're looking at nuciferine, liancinine, isoleucinine, and nephrine. And to be clear, these aren't just simple vitamins. These are complex alkaloids that operate on a deep, deep molecular level to protect the body. Think of these alkaloids as a molecular multi-tool that can literally hack cancer cell pathways. For example, liancinine and nephrine induce apoptosis, that's programmed cell death, by altering the mitochondrial membrane of cancer cells and upregulating pro-apoptotic proteins. And if the cancer is resistant, well, isoleucinine steps in as an autophagy enhancer, literally forcing breast and prostate cancer cells to dismantle and consume themselves. They even stop bone metastasis right in its tracks. But it doesn't stop there. The plant acts like a master mechanic for your cardiovascular and neurological systems too. It acts as a vasodilator, blocking calcium channels to reverse vascular stiffness and ease high blood pressure. Up in the brain, these alkaloids actually suppress the specific tau hyperphosphorylation proteins that drive Alzheimer's disease. They even blunt severe inflammation and pulmonary fibrosis by inhibiting NF-kappa B nuclear translocation. It's literally a full-body toolkit. Section 5. Biomimetics, Textiles, and Traditions. Weaving the Future. In places like Myanmar, around Inle Lake, artisans partake in this painstakingly beautiful tradition. Every day, they harvest the fresh, long aquatic stems of the lotus, carefully score bundles of them with a razor, and then snap them apart to expose hundreds of microscopic, sticky vascular filaments. Using a wet palm technique on a timber table, they roll these microscopic plant fibers into a continuous thread to handloom weave lotus silk. Because the epicuticular wax is still on those filaments, the fabric is naturally hydrophobic and breathable. It is so incredibly labor-intensive, an artisan might only spool 250 meters of thread a day, that a single scarf can cost over $400. And from ancient textiles, we jump straight into futuristic aerospace engineering. Remember that 150-degree contact angle we talked about earlier? Well, biomimetic engineers are currently copying the microscopic mountains found on the lotus leaf. By replicating this exact topography using etched silica or carbon nanotubes, they're creating these wild, super hydrophobic coatings. We're talking self-cleaning solar panels that never lose efficiency to dust, anti-icing coatings for aircraft wings, and anti-fouling hulls for marine ships. All of it directly inspired by this single plant. Yet while it inspires futuristic materials and cutting-edge medicines, it remains incredibly grounded in daily life. It's a massive culinary staple across Asia. Its starch-rich rhizomes are eaten daily, and lotus seed paste is famous for filling mooncakes. The large leaves? They're basically the original biodegradable food wrapper. But perhaps most importantly, it's an ecological workhorse. This plant can happily grow in heavily polluted water while actively conducting phytoremediation. It scrubs out heavy metals like cadmium and lead, sequesters excess nitrogen and phosphorus, and uses its internal Ehrenschoma air channels to literally pump atmospheric oxygen back down into the suffocating hypoxic mud to heal the ecosystem. So the crucial point we're left with today is this. We thought it was just a pretty water lily, but its DNA told a totally different story. Its seed survived for a millennium, went to space, and came back even stronger. Its molecular matrix fights our most stubborn diseases, and its physical structure is literally helping us build a better, cleaner future. If we completely underestimated the sacred lotus, what other world-changing blueprints and secrets are simply waiting for us to look closer, right there in the mud? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Like what you shared.
This website makes learning so easy. I found all my resources here.
Noir plasma chrome bleed. Unlocking knowledge, inspiring innovation, empowering curious mind.